Scientists have just uncovered something wild. There might be millions of alien planets with real signs of life, and one of them, K218b, has chemicals in its sky that only come from living things, not guesses. Real proof in the air that could mean alien oceans, alien critters, and maybe even alien biology already happening. Tune in, because if one alien ocean has life, there might be millions more, quietly swimming just beyond our reach. The name might sound like a robot, but the planet itself? Wild. It's about twice the size of Earth and floating around in a part of the universe where things could get real interesting. But here's the kicker. Scientists found something in its atmosphere that could totally flip what we think we know about life beyond Earth. Now, this planet isn't just some boring rock. It's what brainy space folks call a Hycean world. Basically, it's got a thick, hydrogen-packed sky and oceans that might stretch out for miles and miles. Not just puddles, whole watery worlds. And guess what's possibly swimming around in those deep alien waters? Tiny critters, kinda like the ones we've got in Earth's oceans. Scientists think little things like phytoplankton might be floating there, soaking up starlight and doing their microscopic thing. Researchers from Cambridge found some pretty juicy stuff in K218b's atmosphere. Chemicals, loads of them. And here's the twist. On Earth, those same chemicals only come from living things. Like if you sniff those out here, something's alive nearby. So, if they're hanging around up there, something might be living it up in those alien oceans. But this planet, it might not be some rare gem. What if there are more? Not just a few more, but a whole galaxy of them. Some science folks think there could be millions of these kinds of planets. That's right, millions. Out there, past what we can see, dancing around other stars in other corners of space, Professor Peter Vickers, a guy who thinks real hard about science and stuff at Durham University, said something super spicy. If K218b has even the tiniest hint of life, it's basically a lock that tons of other planets do too. Like, if one house on your block has pizza inside, there's a pretty good chance a bunch of others do too. Space is huge, not just big, not just enormous, beyond words. We're just a speck floating in a much bigger pool, and we've been wondering forever if we're alone in it. But thanks to new tools and fancy telescopes, scientists are peeking deeper into the dark and seeing more planets than we ever thought were out there. And these planets aren't just lifeless balls. Nope. Some are right in the sweet spot where it's not too hot, not too cold, and there's the right stuff to cook up life. Water? Check. Energy from a star? Check. The kind of gassy mix that could make things grow? You bet. Now imagine this happening again and again, not just once with K218b. Imagine 100 of those, 1,000, 1,000,000, all with weird names and stranger skies. And maybe, just maybe, some of them have creatures that breathe, move, glow, or float. Not little green men, maybe not even anything we'd recognize, but life in its weirdest, coolest forms. This whole idea kind of flips everything upside down. Earth? Yeah, it's home. But it might not be the only cozy corner in space. If planets like K218b are out there with oceans and clouds and who knows what, then the universe suddenly feels a whole lot more crowded. Scientists are already scanning the skies for more of these Hycean-type planets. They're using mega-telescopes to sniff out signs of life from light years away. They look at how light bounces off alien skies, how gases swirl, and what kinds of stuff floats around up there. If they catch a whiff of those special life-only chemicals, it's a huge deal. Even if these planets don't have big cities or aliens building space malls, they might still have life at the tiniest level. Bacteria, plankton, little blob things floating and multiplying. And that alone, that's massive, because life, any life, means we're not the only ones. Earth has volcanoes, oceans, animals, rain, snow, deserts, and cities. What if somewhere out there, another planet is having a rainy Tuesday? Or has creatures playing in oceans made of purple water? Maybe they've got trees that hum or bugs that sing. Who knows? All this talk about millions of habitable planets isn't just space nerd stuff. It's the kind of thing that makes you look up at the stars differently. Every tiny dot could be a whole new world. Some might be dead and dusty, but some might be alive, buzzing, bubbling, glowing with weird alien life. Scientists are fired up. They're not just sitting around reading charts. They're out there scanning the skies, decoding signals, and dreaming up ways to learn more. They want to build even better telescopes, shoot probes farther, and maybe one day send something to one of these alien oceans. Until then, we're just here, staring up, waiting for the next big discovery. The stars aren't just lights in the dark. They're signs pointing to other homes, other oceans, and maybe, just maybe, other lives looking up at their own sky, wondering if they're alone too. And here's the thing. K218b might only be the beginning of this whole story. There's a good chance that scientists have only scratched the surface. Every year they're finding more exoplanets, and with each new one, the possibility of life gets stronger. Take TRAPPIST-1, for example. It's got a bunch of Earth-sized planets, all packed together around one little star. Some of them are sitting in that not too hot, not too cold zone. Perfect for water, perfect for life. That's another spot where scientists are focusing their gaze. Then there's Proxima Centauri b. It's way closer to us than K218b, just over 4 light-years away. It orbits the closest star to our own sun. If there's life there, it could be our nearest neighbor in the cosmic block party. But it's not just about finding planets. It's about understanding how life starts and what it needs. Here on Earth, life has popped up in some wild places. Deep under the ocean, inside ice, in boiling hot springs, even inside rocks. If life can survive all that here, just imagine what it might do elsewhere. If space life can be super different from us, then we need smart tools to find it. Tools that can look in totally new ways. Alien life might not need the same things we do. Maybe it doesn't breathe oxygen. Maybe it drinks methane or eats electricity. Maybe it's made of stuff we've never seen. That makes the hunt even more exciting, because we're not just looking for another Earth. We're looking for anything that's alive in any way. The tools scientists use are getting crazier too. There's the James Webb Space Telescope, which is like a giant space eye. It can peek at planets far away and check their atmospheres for clues. Then there's TESS, a telescope that finds planets by spotting little dips in starlight. Every time a new telescope goes up, the list of strange new planets grows longer. And with each one, the dream of finding life gets a little more real. Of course, we've got a long way to go, traveling to these far-off worlds. That's not happening anytime soon. But just knowing they're out there changes the way we think about our own place in the universe. Think about this. If life is common, then the universe isn't silent. It's humming. It's alive. Maybe out there on one of those millions of planets, something is swimming or crawling or flying. Maybe it's staring up at its sky, wondering about us. People used to think Earth was the center of everything. Then we learned that we're just one planet around one star in one galaxy. Now we're learning there might be millions of places like Earth. It's like going from living in a tiny village to discovering a whole bustling city. Some scientists are even working on sending tiny spacecraft to nearby stars. Just little chips with sails pushed by lasers. If they pull it off, we might get pictures of alien worlds in our lifetime. That's a wild thought. Every year, the dream of finding life becomes less of a fantasy and more of a mission. And it's not just about aliens. It's about understanding the universe. Knowing that life isn't a fluke. That it happens again and again, wherever the right ingredients come together. And if that's true, then we're part of something way bigger than just one planet. We're part of a whole network of worlds, a universe where life finds a way over and over. K218b might be the first big hint, but it won't be the last. The sky is full of secrets, and little by little, we're learning how to read them. This story is still being written. Every discovery adds a new chapter. Every telescope launch turns the page. We're not alone in wondering what's out there. And maybe, somewhere, something else is wondering the same thing about us. The universe isn't just stars and dust, it's possibility. It's wonder. It's life, just waiting to be found. And the next time you look up at the night sky, remember, one of those tiny lights could be shining down on a world just like ours, maybe with oceans, maybe with clouds, maybe with life. And that changes everything. Imagine a sky so big it never ends. Now stretch it more. That's kind of like space. And tucked inside that huge sky are not just a few stars and planets, but millions of worlds that could be just like Earth. Not just rocky balls floating around, but cozy little spots where life might be hanging out right now. Not sci-fi, real science. Some really brainy folks have been digging into space stuff, and what they found is mind-blowing. Scientists have looked through their massive telescopes, poked at data, and come to this wild idea. There could be hundreds of millions of planets where life might be chilling. That's not just one or two. That's more than anyone could ever count on fingers and toes, even if you borrowed all your friends' hands and feet. One smart guy, Professor Vickers, said that number, hundreds of millions, isn't even stretching it. That's the safe guess. And they're only talking about the planets we kind of know in our own galaxy. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way. Inside this one galaxy, they've only peeped at a tiny smidge of the planets floating around. Seriously, think about dipping a cup into the ocean and pulling out a fish. That's us, looking at planets. And guess what? We got a fish. That means there are probably a whole sea full of other fish out there too, just swimming around, waiting to be found. Replace fish with planets with life and there you go. They're not just guessing either. Scientists called astrobiologists, people who spend their time thinking about space life, actually agree on this. Out of 521 of them who were asked, more than 450 said, life's probably out there. Only a teeny tiny number said, nope, and some were just unsure. But the big chunk, totally on board. Now, picture planet K218b. Sounds like a robot, right? But it's a real planet. It's not super far away in space terms, still in our galaxy. And it might have water. Where there's water, life could be splashing around. Scientists found stuff in its air that might be made by living things. They're not saying it's space cows or anything, but even teeny microbes would be huge news. And K218b is just one of many. We've barely checked out space. Our best telescopes are like peeking through a soda straw into the night sky. There's so much more out there, galaxies by the billions, each one with more planets than we could ever visit. Life doesn't have to mean people or animals. It could be slime molds or tiny things swimming in alien puddles. Even that would mean we're not alone. That changes everything. It means Earth isn't the only special snowflake floating in the dark. Scientists aren't just dreaming this up. They're using numbers, math, chemistry and tools that cost more than 100 houses. They point giant eyes at the stars and read tiny changes in light. That's how they spot these maybe habitable planets. Some are the right size, some sit in that perfect zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just like Earth. If some planets are kind of like Earth, then maybe some of them are just right for life to grow. There's even a name for that zone, the Goldilocks zone, just like the fairy tale. Planets there could have liquid water, not frozen solid, not vapor. That's the sweet spot where life as we know it has a shot. And this isn't stopping anytime soon. New missions are blasting off, and even bigger space eyes are being built. These things will help us peek deeper into the dark and find more of those Goldilocks spots. More clues, more maybe planets, maybe even signs of alien barf. There's this feeling in the science world, like we're standing right on the edge of a massive discovery. It's like when you feel a storm coming, but instead of rain, it's knowledge. Big, drippy buckets of it. And maybe, just maybe, we'll find that Earth has cousins, not just boring space rocks, but living, breathing, wriggling worlds. Scientists aren't all saying it's for sure, but most think it's likely. Life's probably not rare. Earth isn't the one and only. It might just be one flavor in a cosmic ice cream shop full of wild options. As we build better tools and send more tech into orbit, we're going to get answers. Not in 100 years, but maybe in just a few. Maybe even during your lifetime. Every time they check a new patch of sky, it's like flipping over a rock and seeing what wriggles out. So far, we've flipped over only a few pebbles. But what we found? More than enough to make us think the universe is bursting with secrets. If there's life out there, maybe it's looking up at its own sky, wondering if anyone else is out there too. Now picture this. Not just rocks spinning in space, but cozy, green, life-hugging worlds. Scientists are saying there could be millions of these comfy little homes for life out there. Not just one or two, not just 100 or 1,000, but millions. It all started with those smart folks looking deep into space. With telescopes that can catch a tiny flicker from a star millions of miles away, they saw something wild. Some of those stars have planets around them, lots of planets, and some of those planets look kind of like Earth. Not exactly the same, but close enough to say life could be there. Even regular scientists, the ones who spend their days doing experiments that have nothing to do with space, agree. When they were asked what they thought about life out there, nearly 9 out of 10 said, "It's possible." They aren't saying aliens are out there building spaceships. They're talking about life in any form: bugs, plants, things squirming in puddles, stuff that breathes, grows, or just squirms around in slime. That kind of life could be everywhere, and if you give that kind of life enough time, like billions of years, who knows what it could turn into. One British thinker even said it would be weird if Earth was the only place with life. Think about it. The universe is so big, it's hard to even imagine. It would be more shocking if Earth was the only party in town. If life had a head start on another planet, it might already be building stuff, thinking stuff, and maybe even flying stuff. But there are also the quiet ones. Some folks are saying, maybe we shouldn't shout into space just yet. What if someone is out there? What if they don't want to play nice? Maybe, just maybe, we should zip it before some space conquerors show up with their own ideas. More scientists are joining the search. A space-savvy writer who studies planets says the new superpowered telescopes are showing more Earth-like places than ever before. Planets like K218b, which might have clouds, oceans, and who knows what else. A decade ago, we didn't even know these worlds existed. Now it feels like we find new ones every week. This doesn't mean aliens are waving at us from their windows, but it does mean the chances of life out there just got a whole lot better. And if there's even a tiny bit of life on a tiny bit of those millions of planets, that's still a whole bunch of life. This is about math, science, and logic. If you roll a dice 1 billion times, you don't expect to get the same number every time. Earth is just one roll. There are so many more rolls happening across the galaxy. Eventually, you're going to hit something interesting. And it's not only one galaxy either. Our Milky Way has over 100 billion stars, and each star might have its own set of planets. Multiply that across all the galaxies, which again are in the billions too. You start to realize how crazy huge this whole thing is. Now you see why these scientists are leaning in, raising their eyebrows and saying, something might be out there. Think of the Earth like a cozy island in a never-ending ocean. It took a long time for life to show up here. But once it did, it went wild. Trees, cats, birds, bugs, people. If that can happen here, then it's fair to guess it could happen somewhere else, even if we haven't seen it yet. What about the tech part? If any of those alien life forms got a head start on us by even a few million years, they might have flying cities or underwater schools or who knows what. They could be way past where we are now, or maybe they're just at the slime stage. We don't know, but that's the exciting part. The scientists are not stopping. They keep building better eyes in the sky, telescopes that can peek deeper, clearer, and smarter into the dark. Every year, new discoveries pop up. A new planet here, a new signal there. Sometimes it's nothing, just noise. But sometimes it's just enough to make them say, "That's odd, let's look closer." So here's the big question: what if they already found something and just aren't telling us? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like, and don't forget to subscribe for more.